Right folks, it's Andy here from Russ and the Woodsman. This is the day after my wild cap that got scuttled. I'm in my local woodlands. It's going to be sort of, a mixed match day of things that I want to do while I'm out here. I want to have a mess about with the bowdrill a bit. I've got this new sort of Ridgeline idea for my tarp. I haven't entirely come up with it myself. I've kind of taken a couple of different ideas and put them together, so hopefully that'll work out. And yeah, probably just chill out and have a brew. Get some water out for Rusty because he's hanging. So that's my tarp in that bag there. Rusty's new collapsible water bowl. So like most of us, when I'm doing my, putting my tarp up for camping and whatnot, or even just if it's raining, I use a paracord Ridgeline. On one end I have a loop, pass it around the tree and then put the main bulk of the cordage through that loop and then ratchet it down and then draw along it to the next tree. Again, wrap it round and tie some sort of knot in it. I won't lie, a lot of the time the knots are just made up versions as best as I can remember it. Sometimes I get them, sometimes I don't, and I'll just put it up however, and as long as it lasts the night, it lasts the night. But when it comes to the next morning and packing up, they're not exactly quick release. It's a bit of a fiddle to untie them. So I saw this guy, his channel's called MKR, Military Kit Reviews. He's a sergeant in the British Army. I don't know him personally anyway, but he was demonstrating how to put up an army basher, like on exercise, on operations and whatnot, and he was showing these jungle knot tie-out points. So basically it's a piece of cordage, however long, you double it and, basically fold it in half, double it and tie it at the end. And then along that length of the doubled up cordage, you tie more knots into it, just overhand knots, about every 5 to 6 inches. And it'll come out a bit, so it'll be like that. So you take a piece of cordage, you double it over and you tie it at the opposite end, and then every 5 or 6 inches you just tie in these knots. So yeah, that's basically it. Get a length of cordage, fold it in half, tie it at the end, and then tie a series of knots about 5 to 6 inches along it. And then he would put them on the corner of his basher for when he's out on training exercises and whatnot. And instead of using, the sort of bungee shot cord tie-outs, which is basically, hooked on, and it's got like a metal hook on the other end, and you wrap it around the tree and you stretch it and you finger it on, like hook it on. But over time, those it dries out, the elastic dries out and becomes brittle, and they can like snap and then ping. And if you've ever been hit by one of those metal hooks when they ping off, it hurts a lot. So I don't think he come up with it, but however he did, he found out about it and he utilised this, these jungle knots as the tie-out points to his basher. It also gives him a bit more leeway when it comes to how he sets it up. So what I've done is I've taken my Ridgeline and I've laid it out straight on the ground, and I've measured about 3 metres and 80 centimetres into the centre of the Ridgeline and just left it a single cordage. The reason being is I could centre the tarp on that and still have about 40 centimetres either side of it to put my prusik nuts on to taut the tarp out on the line. So that centre bit is single cordage, and I will show you that. And then what I did with the excess on the end is, folded it over, tied it off, and then tied in the series of knots. So I'll put it up now, and this is the first time I'm putting it up as well, so we'll see how it turns out. I don't even know it'll be long enough for these two trees, hopefully it will be. So with my old Ridgeline, I would always have, a loop tied into the end, and then I would put it around the tree and then pass the excess through that loop and then ratchet it down. And it's going to be the same sort of thing. The difference is this time is I've got a lot more knots, so I can sort of adjust how I'm going to ratchet it. So I'm going to go for this second one in, I think, because the distance from these trees might be a bit, well, we'll see how it goes. So yeah, right, So that's it, pass through that second knot, and then just ratchet it down like that, and then draw the cordage along to the next tree. And once you've unravelled, put the other end round that tree as well, grab onto the loop at the end and really ratchet it down, get that tension on it. And I'll do a close-up of how these knots work. So when you're happy you've got enough tension on this, this is when we're going to use the jungle knots. And we're going to use this section here. You pry these apart, there's a bit of effort in there, and that's how you get, this is how the jungle knots work, with the tension. So take your looped end and then pass it through there. Pull that first knot through. Don't use this knot, there's not enough tension there, it won't work. So use the next notch back. Just going to push it on, and you're going to butt that knot up against this one here. And because how taut these two pieces are here, they're basically biting down on this bit here, preventing this knot from slipping through. If you want to be double sure, I suppose you could put a couple of half hitches on that. But yeah, to me that just seems like a lot easier way than half of these other knots that are out there. But again, like I said, this is a prototype. I don't know how well this will hold up, you know, and say something like high winds or whatnot, but I will try it out and see how I get on with it. I also might try it with a different cordage, because obviously this is paracord, there's a lot of give in it, a lot of stretch in it. But yeah, so just basically if you want to undo this, if you just pull it to the centre and it will come undone. So yeah, that's the jungle knots, and then the bit in the centre, it's all just the single line paracord for the actual sort of ridgeline bit, and then the prusik knots, one on each end. So the prusik knots I use is bank line. I can't remember the diameter, but it's the smaller diameter one. The reason being is I can't remember whose video it was, but I was watching it ages and ages ago, and they were saying that if you use the same thickness cordage for your prusik knots against the same thickness cordage for your, your ridge line, they don't bite down as easily. They're saying you need to use a smaller diameter cordage for the prusik knots, and it bites down on the ridge line a lot better. And I tested it out, and the paracord ones, paracord and paracord, yeah, it did slip, but this smaller diameter stuff, it doesn't slip. And it's probably partly one because it is smaller diameter, but I'm fairly certain this bank line is like infused with tar or something, so probably that stickiness gives it a bit of extra bite. But when there's no tension, yeah, they just slip all out, nice and easy. I mean, it doesn't have to be bank line, any smaller diameter cordage will do. But bank line is what I had, so it's what I use. So yeah, quite happy how that worked out. The theory in my head was, I was hoping was going to work, and it seems like, I mean obviously this is, ideal conditions, there's no, rain and high winds or anything like that. I mean, the knot could, slip out with heavy wind. I don't know, I'll have to wait and see till that sort of weather comes into play. But yeah, I was checking, so the centre portion of the ridgeline where the actual, the tarp would go onto, that's 3.8 metres, so between those two trees there, it can't be, the centre point between two trees can't be any less than 15 feet, otherwise it won't fit in, that centre portion. And then the excess on the ends where the jungle knots are, it's only fingertip to fingertip. I'm going to need a bit more on that, if I end up, the trees are a bit further apart, or the trees are a bit thicker than what they are, because I was kind of, with the thickness of that tree there, I was cutting it fine. So yeah, I'll need to either find some more paracord and add it on, or buy another bit of paracord and remake the thing. But yeah, this one was a prototype anyway. But I'm going to move back over to my spot over there and have a play with the bow drill now, I think. So for today's bow drill, I've got my trusty bow. I like this shape of branch, the sort of coat hanger shape. It just leaves a nice space in between for when you're bow drilling. And I've got my limpet shell bearing block and my gloves in there. And a few other things, my tea and whatnot. So the health board I'm using today is a willow. I cut this down a while back and I took it down to my spot down the stream and had a mess about with it a couple of weeks ago, I think it was now, and I got my first ember with willow on willow. But today I thought I'll bring the willow health board out, and while I was walking in I cut this piece of dead standing hazel, so I'm going to do this hazel spindle on this willow health board. Hey bud. He keeps twitching every time I say willow because my mum's dog's called Willow and he just recognises it, so willow, willow, willow. Yeah, she's not here bud, in a few months mate. So yeah, that's my spindle. It's about a foot long, so about 12 inches, and that's the sort of size I like my spindles to be. So I'll get it carved down, get a new notch carved into this, and we'll get cracking. So stripping off that outer bark with the Enzo Borca. I really rate this knife, it's worked out really well. I did a slight modification where I took the little thumb stud out there for the one-handed opening. The blade's really stiff and I feel just too stiff to be able to open it with one finger on that, you know, that stud. And so it just kind of seemed pointless having it there, and what I started to find was when I was stropping it to hone the edge after a day's use, you couldn't put the angle of the edge down onto the strop properly because this thumb stud was sticking out too much, so you couldn't sharpen that, you know, that small portion of the blade. So I decided just to take it off. I mean, you've got the little, you know, the little finger notch at the end of the blade there to actually open it, and it works really well. So yeah, but other than that little thing about it, it's a really good little folding Scandi grind. Yeah. Get a bit of chest lever on the go. So it's nearly time to burn it in, so I need to get the glove out, the bearing block, and that's the glove we need. Got my tea for in a bit. Right then folks, moment of truth. Well folks, I say that's earned me a brew. Tin of berry tea here. Put one of those into the mug. No fire here, just the spirit stove and my pot stand. But yeah, not too bad a day that. Not a bad day's work, eh boy? We'll head off in a bit. Go for a jolly round area. I want to try and find myself a nettle patch because I'm going to start looking into making natural cordage. So I need to find an area in these woodland where there's a high amount of nettles, so I can gather a load of them. Probably just bring them back to this spot because this is sort of my spot that I come to in these woods. It's as out of the way as you can sort of get, you know, sort of centralised within all the, you know, the paths and tracks that are around the woods. So yeah, come back here and mess about with some natural cordage. Matt Bailey just did a good video about it. That's kind of what's inspired me, to be honest. Yeah, he was showing how to do the reverse twist with natural cordage. He made it out of brambles. If I find brambles, I'll give brambles a bash as well, but I think I'm more likely to probably find nettle patches. Got some of this. But anyway, yeah, I watched his video. He demonstrated how to make natural cordage. So yeah, have a crack at it, see how I get on. I love the inside, like when it's wet obviously it really brings out the grain on the inside of the wood. It looks like really metallic-y. It's stunning. Like a metallic sort of browny bronze. Yeah, I do like this. I would like to make my own one, but for now well folks, that's me all packed up, ready to walk back to the car and drive home. Back to work tomorrow, it's Monday. But yeah, I'm happy with today. You know, I lucked out with the weather, it's been really nice. Not too hot, but you know, just perfect really. And yeah, I'm happy with what I got accomplished. You know, the Ridgeline, you know, in principle it'll work, but I'd be more happy testing it under more sort of rougher conditions, you know, wind and rain and whatnot, to see if it actually does hold up. But yeah, the idea of it works, so I'll keep on with that in the background, and then once I've got it, once I'm happy with it, I'll bring it. I'll show the sort of finished version of it. And Hazel and Willow work well together for bowdrill too, so happy with that. And a nice chilled out brew to go along with it, with my bud, who is, God knows where he is now. I can hear him over there somewhere. Anyway, I'm going to go now. As always, thanks for taking the time today to watch, and hope I'll see you in the next one. Take care.